Just tilt the head over. Just, yeah, push it over. Just like that. There. Now screw that back in there because we're live on YouTube already. Yep, just clamp her down. Put this side in first. Nope, up, so you don't push buttons. Okay, clamp it down. We're still getting set up, guys. Give us a minute. That'll work, Gregory. Now bring it forward. Just a little bit. Right there. That'll get us in there. Yep. Now I'll get on Facebook. Yeah, mine says it's not supported that way.
Oh, in the horizontal.
Yeah. Add a description. Basically, it's a little tight on mine, but
Oh, you're good. We'll get
all right.
close.
Yeah. I did shower last night. We got 6 on YouTube already. So we're live at Bass Pro Shop, everybody. We're still getting kind of set up. We're running a minute or two behind. Then he gets some little microphones.
I know.
We were making.
Oh. They were in there all 3 screens. This one's probably a little bit.
Everybody hear us all right?
Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us good. Now, on YouTube, the phone is far enough back, so we're not going to be able to read every comment. So, my eyes aren't that. My eyes ain't that good. So, just bear with us. And same with on Facebook. It's just kind of going to be how it is because my phones won't go horizontal mode. So, I'm good when you do.
You on there, Dave?
Yeah.
We all good?
Yep, we're live on everything.
Perfect. All right. Well, hey, good morning, everyone. And today's a very exciting day. I reached out to Dave Lemon with Double Hook Angling, and I said, Dave, you know, the holidays are upon us, and I got to thinking about like gift ideas, right? And the thing that really stands out is a few years ago, tying crappie jigs was a bug. It hit me because, you know, the love and passion that we have for crappie fishing, and I was excited to learn how to tie crappie jigs. And, you know, most people think, when you think of tying, you think of tying flies. You know, and I met you here at the Bass Pro in Wichita, and you know, you showed me the art that you have, and I was like, man, this is pretty cool, right? And you and I have established a very good relationship. You helped me out on the crappie trails, and you and I have that sponsorship set up, and I literally wanted to just come on here this morning and talk about not only the gift ideas that people could have for Christmas, but I want you to show us your talents and put them to work. And none of this, guys, is scripted. I told Dave when he got here, I said, Dave, I don't have anything on paper. We're literally going to sit here and make jigs, and I think we're past drinking coffee. And we're just going to hang out, and we wanted to do this for everyone. And this is all going to be filmed, so you're recorded, right? Yeah. So you're more tech savvy than I am at this stuff. So someone will be able to go back and watch
Oh yeah,
this.
they'll be able to go back even on Facebook or YouTube or on your Facebook, and they'll be able to see what we're doing. So hopefully everybody can hear us. If not, then turn your volume up. So, but yeah.
Well, Dave, tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into tying flies and jigs.
So when I was a kid, I bought a vise that came in a kit, and I actually bought it from Bass Pro Shop. So 35 years ago, not to date my gray face, but yeah. And my family, they had a bait shop and they sold jigs. Well, I was a young kid and I couldn't afford to buy the jigs, even though they were fairly cheap at that time. Yours is, did you see?
What is it?
You need to turn yours.
Oh my goodness! Hey, Abby, can you help me out? Can you rotate that?
Yeah, maybe we need to rotate the
See,
phone.
this is a rookie right here. This is on my. There we go. Perfect. Did that fix it? We've got Abby. She's in the background. She's kind of like running the show around here for us to make sure that we.
Yeah,
look
like I
okay.
said, bear with us. We're still working on this.
She's gonna give us a thumbs up. Well, keep going, Dave.
Well,
Yeah, you're
anyways,
good. You're
yeah.
good.
So I ended up to where I couldn't afford to get into the jig making as a child. So what we did was we just got some pre-made hooks and or jig heads, and I started tying jigs on those. And we actually had a poodle schnauzer mix that Mom got at a haircut, so I stole some of its fur and made jigs out of that. So that's kind of what we did.
You're good at it. Can you just straighten that
Yeah,
just a little bit? Right there. Perfect. Thank you.
So anyways, we got, so I started tying jigs with the dog fur, and that's a good thing is because you can go to the park and you can find feathers and things like that from the geese and what have you, and tie jigs from those. They will work. But I started to get, go to thrift stores and stuff as a child, and then you could find like the scarves or bolo or whatever that they're called that were made out of feather, or you get a feather duster and rip the feathers out so you can get some marabou to make some jigs. But then it just developed from there, and for the last 10 years or so I've been tying a lot of jigs. and
So you literally, like, I mean, I never even stopped to think about that, right? I think of going to just the store, right? But I mean, you took this from the ground up.
Yeah, found materials. Yeah, it's easy enough to go to Hobby Lobby, Walmart, things like that. But Bass Pro Shop has a good supply of materials, and we just kind of show you guys. They got some chenilles and some flash. And then, of course, there's plenty of jig heads, some bucktails that David just showed you, some marabou and stuff like that. So,
this I like this because one of my really good friends, Ivan Teal, Ivan called me yesterday and he said, David, he goes, help me better understand why you do this. And my response to him was, Ivan, every day and every setting is going to be completely different, right? And somebody would ask, well, why are there 100 different colors? Why are there 100 different baits? Well, because there's 100 different ways that those fish could be acting that day. And a lot of people, they don't understand colors, right? So like when you've got yellow or orange or green, when you're tying something, are you tying just to tie, or are you tying for a purpose?
You tie for a purpose. So with me and my hand ties that I do, you can just change the color slightly, and it will make a big difference in the crappie fishing. So you have multiple colors, multiple sizes, multiple whatever. The marabou gives you a softer reaction with just the slight waves. The marabou will dance just a little bit. the hackle stays a little bit straighter, but it still moves, and it's more of a lift type fishing. So to get a crappie's reaction. With the marabou, I seem that the marabou does work somewhat better in the colder months because you don't have to move it so much, and the marabou has a nice flow to it. But when you get good hackle, like what Bass Pro sells, and I noticed that this store has a few, but it's like with every store, they can't put everything in the store or they would have no room for anything. So
and that brings up a really good point too. Is if you're shopping at Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's and you look on the shelf and they don't have it, right?
Yeah.
Find an associate and ask them, because a lot of this stuff is still available online.
Oh yeah, you get online. I was online yesterday looking at Bass Pro's inventory, and they got all kinds of stuff on there. They've got multiple colors, and I mean, they had more than enough stuff that you could fill your box and fill your shopping cart online and just drive your wife nuts.
When I got in, I've been fishing and hunting my entire life, and when I got into what I call die-hard crappie fishing, which would have been about 5 years ago, and yes, a lot of it stems from live scope, is we've been able to use the technology with these electronics to understand fish and how they react better. And if I drop a jig down and I don't get the reaction that I want from a fish, I'm changing it. I'm changing size, I'm changing color. And the thing is it really all serves a purpose here. So I wanted to come on here today and have you just tie some things up. And if you don't mind, tell us about, like, what are these tools? What's this called? What's that called? If somebody was just getting into it, and if you're taking notes at home, write this stuff down so when you come into the store, you're going to know what to get. So what are your tools here, Dave?
So this is a vise. This is a Renzetti. So it's a little bit more higher price vise.
Yep.
But they have a tabletop vise that you can clamp on to your table, a couple different ones. And they do sell this here in the store. So you can stop and pick that up. And then they have this little kit. Now, if you're a beginner, this would be what I would get. So this kit has everything in it that you really need to get started. So some of my stuff's a little bit different, but the same concept. So they have a pair of tweezers, and these are simply just called tweezers, and they hold on to your chenille. So when you get short, you can have something to spin around with without trying to hold the chenille tight. But then they have a bobbin, which is what my thread is being held here with. And then, they got plenty of spools of thread. And then, of course, you're going to need a pair of scissors. And then you're going to need what they call a whip finisher. Now, in their kit, they have a different style of whip. But the whip finisher that I like, which you can get on their website, is just a hook whip like this. So, and that is to finish off your tie and put a half hitch in the to make your knot to finish off your jig. So everything on your jig is done with one thread. So you twist your thread on your hook and you get it started, and then you get a feather, you pull the feather off, and then what I do is I lay the feather on my finger, and then I will clip it to the vein of the feather just to separate it. And then when I stack, I line the ends up. And you do that until you've used up the feather. And you got to remember, though, that the feather's length is different as it goes down. So you just got to keep lining it up.
And you're snipping it right down that.
Yeah, I'm
that
snipping the main vein, the spine, the quill, whatever you want to call it. And I will get down almost to the fluff. And then I will discard the rest of that, or I'll use it for another fly or something of that nature. Then you pinch it off, and you should get it stacked pretty tight. So then you just lay that on your hook, swap your hands, and then you lock that down.
And this is hackle?
This is hackle.
Okay.
So versus marabou. We'll open up we'll do another jig, and we'll open up a pack of marabou, and I will show you. And then I'll buy the pack of marabou when I'm done.
And the thing about it is, and I never even stopped to think about when Dave was talking about the way that the hair and the material acts in the water, right?
Yeah.
So when I have you tie jigs up for me, I always like it in half. And that right there, I should probably start looking at having you make some for me in Marabou
Yeah.
too.
So this stuff is called flash. So they have that. They've got plenty of that. So, and a lot of the guys used to use this for their flies and stuff, and it just adds a little extra flash. But I'll pinch over the edge, and then I will lay it next to there, and then I'll put, you know, a double strand on that side, get it locked down, and then I'll sweep it around the other way to where you got 2 pieces of flash down both sides. Then you trim that off, and then when you go to put on your chenille, so this stuff is called chenille, it's basically kind of like a fluffy yarn, and there again, they sell chenille at a lot of different places, or even craft stores and stuff, if you don't have a lot of money and you just want to keep it on the cheap or whatever. So, and then you just wrap it on there. So, but with a bigger head like this, what I like to do is I'll get it locked in, and then I'll wrap down a couple times, run my thread back to where I want the chenille to stop, and what that does is it just builds the body up for the fatter heads. So if you can see what it did there, it just made the body more tapered. Then I wrap my around 2 or 3 times to lock that thread in, give her a couple wraps, snip her off, and then you take a whip finisher. And with the whip finisher, it's a little bit more complicated to use these sometimes, but if you lay it on there and push and then cross your thread behind, it will do the action that it needs. And you can do, you know, look these up, you know, like these techniques up and stuff on YouTube and what have you, or you can just go to my channel at Double Hook Angling and watch me do it. And, you know, I do a Friday live and teach how to do jigs and talk and stuff like that. So, and then there's you a jig.
See, that's funny that you showed that, because when I was first learning how to run a whip finisher, man, I couldn't hold my tongue right.
Yeah.
I was sliding off, but that technique of just laying it on there that's the way to do it. You know, Dave, something I want to call out is, you know, we're showing you guys introductory ways to do this. Dave is clearly an expert. He's taken this to the next level. And I know that we showed some examples of some jigs that you can buy. I got you right here. You can buy pre-made jigs and get started that way if you don't want to track that down. But one of the things that Dave does, and this is great, and we're going to share his information at the end here, but when I send people to Dave for stuff, it's custom, right? So Dave custom pours jig heads in whatever way that customer might be, right? So if you're wanting a custom built jig head, reach out to Dave. He can get you custom sizes. And one of the things that we have really become to favor is going into the 2X hook, which is it's a thicker hook, a stronger hook. But there's a ton of options out there. So if you have questions, ask David. This is a great example right here. This one's already pre-built.
So these are the pre-built hooks, and they do have a lead keeper. But if you just snip off that little point for that lead keeper, you can use this without it having a bulky body, and you can use fingernail clippers. I just used my scissors. Then you take a piece of marabou, or actually I guess we should put on the thread first. Put your thread on and overlay that thread a couple times, just kind of weave it back and forth to help hold it in place. And if you're not comfortable with that, or if you get jigs that want to spin, you can put a little super glue on there and it'll work just fine. So then you get your piece of marabou. Now comb your marabou back and pinch it. And that gives you a nice little fluff to hold on to. And then you can lock that marabou down and just go down to where it falls off the end of that lead bait keeper, and then trim all that off, that excess off. And then if you want to put flash on it, you can. Some people don't like flash on their marabou, but I like it. So you just put there again, put the flash on the side, sweep it over, trim it up, And then we'll just run white, black, and actually let's get a little different color in there. Since we're keeping with the light. So now what we'll do is I got a piece here that's kind of a yellow with a little peach and some flash in it. So this will make a good color combo here. And do them to your eye, to where you like the color of it. If you like the color and it looks pleasing to you, it'll look pleasing to the crappie. So you tie that all the way back, and then on these, they're gonna have a little longer body because of the lead keeper, but you just slightly wrap it up as you go. And then you get a nice little jig. And then like again, go around 2 or 3 times. Now, I didn't change my thread out, and you'll want to change your thread out to the color that kind of matches the body, just so you don't see it too well, but I usually tuck it in there and hide it.
So
now,
the thread color, we're matching it up to the color of
the body.
the body. Okay.
Yeah. So a lot, and then also, if you're not comfortable with just doing a few turns to it, I know how it locks in, and I'm comfortable with that. And if you want to have a threaded collar, one of the best colors to use is red, because fish have red gills, and this is supposed to emulate a minnow. So if you want to have it to where you have a pretty good buildup of thread on there, do a red, because that red will look like a gill and it won't mess up your jig and get it to where your fish are turning away. But I do mine to where it's pulled in there so tight, even with the black, you might see just a touch of it or something, but it is what it is. So, but then you get a nice little marabou jig. And like what Dave was saying earlier, the difference between marabou and hackle is, so if you've got this on a line and you're sitting there, let me use a piece of my flash to act as a line. So if you have this on a line and you're sitting there in the water and you're going like this, that jig is just going to go straight up and down, because that marabou will move with the water. So it will just kind of, sit there and flutter. And when you're doing it with the hackle jig, especially if you're, down more than a few feet, so, and most of the time you're going to be fishing off a boat or a dock or something like that. So you might have your jig, 10, 15 feet down in the water. So if you lift up on this, the hackle is stiff enough, it will actually move the jig forward an inch or two. So, and that's the reason why, and then, so when it goes from this way and then you drop, sometimes it'll turn. So it's setting it down there, at 20 feet, it's going to move 3-4 inches sideways. So it just different reactions for different fish.
So, Dave, I've gone out and I've bought my stuff, right? So I come home, I'm excited, and I got all the material laid out. What do you do when you go to a body of water? How do you identify what color presentation you're going to have?
Okay,
or you're
so
going to start with?
In dark stained water, I like bright colors. Some people like dark colors, but I find that the bright colors, the fish can see it through the cloudier water better. And then with the clear water, I go dark. So I kind of, that's my preference. So if I have clear water that you can see 3, 4, 5 feet, well, if you're seeing that far, the fish are seeing 8 to 10, 12 feet. So you don't need such a bright color, but sometimes it works better to have a dark jig with a bright head. That bright head will pull them in so they, they like to investigate things. And if you're watching crappie and stuff on live scope, you watch them, they'll come up and they'll look at your jig. Now they may not take it and they may just, settle back down. Well, then you get frustrated. So then you try, you just got to do different techniques, maybe lift it up more, jig it more. But also when your crappie are spooky, don't just drop straight down on their head. Come in from the side and, it will change the reaction.
Some of the, where are they at here? That's tiny.
Yeah. So these are 1/64ths on a size 10 hook. So, and right now, this whole last couple weeks with crappie fishing, I have not been able to get hardly anything on a 1/8. I've gotten a few on the 16th, but I was using this right here, this little guy right here, like these.
So are you
And
going smaller in the winter?
No, only in this part of the winter.
Okay.
So like when the water is just now still dropping. So like we were at 50 degrees, 2-3 weeks ago in water temps. Now we're at 42, 40. So, but when the water gets below 40, then I go back big, because at that point they're cold enough that they're wanting something bigger.
Okay.
But right now, for the next 2 weeks or so, I would be using, size 10, size 8, and 1/64th and 1/32nd, and then I'll move back up come mid-January. But that's here in Kansas, so every state's different.
Right.
So if you look at a lot of your ice fishing guys, they want this size.
Yep.
All winter long until February, March, and then they start going bigger. But here in Kansas, it seems like our crappie, if you're not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, what you've found on the water, big baits work better in January, February.
That's what I've always said, and I prefer to go bigger. And somebody the other day, I saw somebody post something on Facebook. I think our friend showed me something, and they had caught this crappie, and it was a good sized crappie, like 2-pound crappie. And when they were cleaning it, it had like a big old 6-inch shad, in, 6-inch gizzard shad in. And that's the thing is, don't be afraid. If something's not working, do the opposite, right?
Yeah.
If you're using big baits and big baits aren't working, go small. If you're using hair and it's not working, go to plastic. You just keep going back and forth until you find something that works best.
So I started using, I didn't use plastics very much until just a few years ago. I was a die-hard hair guy. And when I say hair, I'm meaning feathers, but we call them hair jigs. I was a die-hard hair guy, and then finally a few years ago, I got turned on to some of the baits that, the mass-produced plastics and things like that. And then I started to make YouTube friends that made their own plastics, and then they started sending me some plastics. And now I'm stuck on one guy, which you use as well. So, so I probably bought 40 or 50 packages of plastics this year alone. So I had different colors, different sizes, straight tail versus paddle tail, and all that kind of stuff. But I started making wire bait keeper jigs and things to hold those plastics. And at first I was just using my jig heads without a bait keeper, and they worked just fine. So you got to switch. Sometimes hair jigs work, sometimes plastics work, sometimes you got to tip it with some little crappie nibbles, or maybe a minnow or a worm or something like that. And don't think that crappie won't eat worms, because they'll eat worms too. So and then when you're tipping it with a minnow and stuff, of course that increases the size of your bait by double, because you're putting a minnow on there. But if it's not working, then change over from a minnow to a little pellet or whatever you like. So
one of the things is don't be afraid to ask when you're on the lake, right, or you're on a body of water, and you see another angler. Go up to them and ask them what they're using, right? And
the worst thing they can say is, bait.
exactly. And I love it too, because when I'm in a tournament, I walk by anglers' boats at the end of the tournament, and I look in their boat.
Yeah, see what they got tied on their rod still.
Most of us don't think to take our bait off our pole at the end of a tournament, and I do. I look at that. It's another thing too is, this is kind of like a retail secret, is if you walk into a Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's and you want to know what bait or color is hot in the area,
ask them who the pro staff is and go talk to them.
I will tell you this is, I look at the pegs that are empty or have the least amount of stock on, right? And if it's empty, yes, we understand it's empty. Just go ask, say, hey, can you order this for me? And a lot of the times the tags, if you look, will tell you the size and the color. And even go ask those experts that are in the fishing department, just say, what's everybody buying right now? Another thing, or a good friend of mine way back in the day, we were out in Colorado. We were on an elk hunt. And we were going to fly fish our way back home. And as we walked up to this body of water, and I didn't really understand this extent, is Tanner said, "Hey, we're not going to put a fly in the water until we understand what the hatch is."
Yeah.
And understanding the hatch is whatever bugs or larva or whatever insect happens to be in the water at that time and hatching. And he made me walk around and flip rocks.
Yeah.
I had to flip rocks for like half an hour and look at all these different bugs on the bottom. And he said, once you find the bugs on the rocks, then get your fly box out, and that's what we're going to mimic, because the fish are going to bite something that's close to what's in that area that they're feeding on. Now, do you tie flies?
Yes, I tie flies as well.
Yeah. If somebody was going to get in, so we've talked about tying crappie jigs. Is everything really the same setup to tie flies, or what do you do different?
For the most part, everything, you know, as far as your tools, like your vise, your bobbin, your scissors, all that stuff's the same. Now, you'll have some different tools that come in these bigger kits, like what you have.
Yep.
So we've got a couple different kits here. So they'll have some little tools that have wires on them and things to spin thread, that you can make a loop with the thread and then pinch your dubbing and stuff between there. And dubbing is just like a loose fiber. And you can pinch that between your thread, and then you twist it up, and it basically is making a chenille, but out of the material that, you know, they have there. And then you have another kit there. Give me that kit there. So you have this kit here, and this is a more inclusive kit. So this kit is the White River kit, and up here on top they have the tools that I was referring to. They're spinning tools, and those are for the dubbers. This has a different style whip finisher in it as well, and it also has a pick and stuff. So it also has a pick in it that you can go and fluff up your material and things. So, like, you know, to make it just a little bit more buggy.
You know, David talked about his vise here, and clearly he does this at the professional level, right? So
Yeah.
he's upgraded his materials.
Yeah.
And
so this vise is probably $350.
Yep.
So, but it's portable. It's got a 4-pound weight on it, so it stays on the table and stuff. And you know, it's got a rubber mat that it doesn't tear anything up. And then you have some of these other little things on here to like hold it's got a wire thing that you can hold your bobbin out of the way. So when you're doing your stuff, you've got room with your hands without your bobbin just swinging back and forth down there as well. And this one also rotates.
Yep.
So it's like some people, the way I wrapped my chenille when I was tying my jigs, some people will just hold their chenille there and sit there and turn this to get the same reaction. So,
you know, and that's why I grabbed this, is because you can definitely you can upgrade. You can I guess, let me put it this way: there's going to be a kit and the tools that will fit your budget, regardless. If you walk in here and you go over there, and a lot of this material yes, we're tying crappie jigs, but most of this material, if not all of it, is probably going to be found in the fly fishing department, right?
Yes, that's when I went to pick up this stuff this morning to show the people. I got this out of their fly shop area, and all this stuff is used for the same thing. So like the hackle, you can use that to tie flies. You can use the marabou to tie flies. The flashes and things like that, or the bucktails, all of this stuff. One of the simplest flies is just a hook with wrap the thread down it and wrap the thread back, and then just use a piece of this little flashy chenille that White River has, that they have here at the store, and just wrap you a little collar right up at the front of the hook, and that will emulate a little midge or mosquito larvae or something like that.
You know, and this, I brought this over here too.
The big kit.
The big kit. Yeah, so I personally own this, I guess I want to call it like a tabletop organizer and kit.
Yeah.
And it gives me the ability to, you know, keep my thread organized. I've got my vise, all my tools. And this is...
And the other thing is, you could set that on your lap. If you just got a chair and you're in your living room, just set that on your lap, watch TV, and tie some stuff up.
I have found myself when I travel for tournaments, I try to always be prepared as possible with as many options that I have in the boat, right? But I take my materials with me to tournaments because if I get to a body of water and I have found that the fish are focused on a particular size and color, but my stock's running low, I'm going to tie some up that night.
Yeah.
You know, when I come off the water, and it's a great travel kit.
Yeah, and if you're crazy enough like I am, you'll go get some pack out toolboxes and carry a few $1,000s worth of material with you, because there's times where I'll go fishing and there'll be 50 guys on the bank during the spring, and people will come up to me and ask me, "Hey Dave, do you got this jig or what have you?" Because it's on my truck that I do what I do. So they'll come and they'll ask me, but with having that kit and my pack out stuff, I can tie them jigs right there on the spot. So, but even if you don't have pack out toolboxes, you can get some plastic boxes, and that's a lot what I do as well.
I went and grabbed these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here at Bass Pro, you can get these, and then what you do is you just take a row of dividers out for your longer stuff, and then you can just pack your longer stuff in there, and then you can have some different jig heads in there, your feathers.
Yeah, because these,
So
these
you
come
can,
out
you
in
can like
adjusted
just
size.
yeah, you can like shove this in this hole, and then you can take out 2 of those and lay feathers in there, and then take out a whole row and put in your flash and things like that. So
Yeah, these are what I like about these. Is don't get me wrong, the color will sell, and these come in all different colors: red, this aqua.
you got a green over there,
They got
I thought,
green, yeah.
or blue.
And these come in different sizes. I don't have them all in front of me, but I think there's like 3 different sizes. They store well.
Yeah.
I know we've got a rolling cart over here, and I've got the same rolling cart, found it at Harbor Freight, to shove all this in. If you don't want a rolling cart, grab a soft-sided tackle bag. A lot of your tackle bags, you can buy them as kits that come with these trays in them. I think Dave's grabbing one.
But like I said, this is one that they do. I mean, this is Harbor Freight stuff because I'm not a rich man. So, but this is basically the same concept as the little boxes. You just have to where you have a lot more. So you can have all your chenilles. They come with a couple bigger trays that you can put your flash or some of your flash and your feathers and things in there. And so then you can stack it up and take everything with you. They got other ones that have room for your vices and your other toolboxes and stuff. So
Dave, what time you got? 8.
I've got 8:35.
So we got about 5 minutes left here. The store's gonna start getting busy here, but what I do want to do is, so we've talked about tying, right? So the next thing I wanted to talk about, and I think you might have it. Oh, they're right there. So we talked about you can buy pre-built jig heads, but here's the thing: if you're wanting to get like technical and get way down to the specifics, and maybe there's a certain size or color or something that you're wanting to do, Dave does custom poured jigs. Okay, tons of them. You can get them in different sizes, different colors.
Yeah, I do all the way from 1/80th on a size 10 hook, all the way up to 1/4 ounce on a 1/0 so
Yep.
big hooks.
Yep. And it's neat too, because if there's a specific color that you want, or maybe it's a color that you've envisioned, and call Dave, right? You like these colors. Can you mix colors together to get different turnouts?
Yeah, so I had a guy one time and he was like, I want a red. And I showed him all the reds that you could commercially buy, whether it's powder, you can get powder coats from Bass Pro, you can get powder coats from other fly companies and stuff like that, or what have you. Or you can even just get online and buy powder coats that are made for powder coating car equipment. It doesn't matter because it's all the same type of plastic powder. And if you heat it up, and it will all melt together and look the same. Or if you don't want to get into the powder coating, so maybe you're not comfortable with powder coating, or doing the whole process that's involved with that, just go steal your wife's fingernail polish. So you might get in trouble, but
Yep.
But at some of the cheaper stores, you could buy fingernail polish for $1, $1.50 a piece,
Yep.
and it'll work just fine.
Yep. Dave, I appreciate you coming. This is exciting. It's awesome. The thing is, and I found it's therapeutic.
Yeah.
It really is. And find you a quiet place. If you want to turn the television on, turn it off, whatever you want to do, it can get very therapeutic.
Yeah. Tie at the lake,
Yep.
while you're camping and watching your catfish rods. Maybe the crappie aren't biting, or your buddy ain't there yet with his boat to borrow,
Yeah.
Just tie you some stuff up and get ready.
Sure. Dave, will you do me a favor? Will you, kind of just in closing here, will you tell people how to get a hold of you?
Okay.
And where to watch your shows? and
So
stuff?
the easiest way to get a hold of me is you can give me a holler on the phone. I don't know if you can see that one way over there or not on your feed, but
Can I
yeah.
tell your telephone number?
Yeah.
So if you want to call Dave direct, that's 620-955-7023.
Yeah, or you can just get online, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can find me at Double Hook Angling. So I have a website that's doublehookangling.com, but the website, you can't purchase anything on the website. It's not a purchase website. It just gives a background of me and Gregory. Come here. So Double Hook Angling, the reason why it's Double Hook Angling is because it's me and my son, Gregory. He has autism, so he's always with me. He's my best buddy, and so we do a lot of fishing and stuff together. But Double Hook Angling at Gmail, Double Hook Angling on Facebook. You can message me. I'm easy to find. So
Cool. Dave, again, thank you. The last thing I want to say is thoughts and prayers to you and your family.
yeah.
I know it's going to be a long week for you guys.
Yeah, my wife has surgery on Friday, a lumpectomy. She's at the very beginning stages of breast cancer. It's just like right at the point where they're not calling it cancer yet, but it could be tomorrow type thing. It is the right cell mass. So she has surgery on Friday. So I appreciate your prayers and thoughts and what have you. So
Cool. All right, buddy. I appreciate you and Gregory. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you having us.
Again, reach out to us. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you later. Gregory, you're making table bounce. Hit the X at the top. And then push OK. Thank you.